Well, I'm doing another real world review, but this time it isn't an electronic device. Not at all. Not a computer, not a tablet. Instead, it is a regular notebook called Everlast. Now, I have used regular notebooks, and actually moving to analog from digital, I have found quite refreshing. I used to take all my notes in the computer, sometimes even dragging my computer places, but having a notebook and taking notes, it's helpful. There's some research saying that it changes your brain, memory, a whole bunch of stuff. So I started doing this a couple of years ago with notebooks, and I like it. The disadvantage is I have a hard time searching through these. If I'm looking for some meeting notes, I have to look through, go to the date when the meeting took place and take a look at, what happened that day and the notes that I took. Now I'm going to switch cameras here and show this, because this notebook, the reason why it's so thin is because it's reusable, and that's also why it's called Everlast, and they kind of have a little bit of affinity going on because you can erase it. It's erasable notebook. And you might wonder, well, gosh, if it's erasable, how do you keep your notes? Well, there's an app. And so what you do is you go to the app. Hold on, let me show you my on my phone. I've got it right here. I have very few things on my home screen because I find it helps with not being distracted. One of those things is the Rocketbook app, and you can see I've taken several photos. Basically, is what it does, and you might be able to hear when it captures it. There we go. I don't have to push anything. It captures it. It's ready to upload. I can tell it to upload. If I'm done, it will ask me if I want a different name. It gives you a default name, and I can change the name if I want to. And it will upload it where I tell it to upload. There are these little icons down at the bottom. You can barely see them, but when you make an X through one of them, I think there's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7. When you put an X through it, it tells Rocketbook where to upload it to. So whether OneNote, you can do specific OneNote notebooks and pages within or sections within OneNote. Evernote, I think it works with Dropbox and Box and a whole bunch of different online services. You can send it to your email. The very first page, it gives you all the icons, and you can actually write down a little index. I've only done my journal because I'm still trying to work out exactly where I want things uploaded to. So right now I've got this first thing is my meetings, and it's going to a place in OneNote where I collect all of my meeting notes. I use GTD by David Allen, or I attempt to use GTD. And so once a week, I go to that one area of collection, and then I will review it and send it to where I want it, long term. So let me show you how this thing works. So here are some meeting notes that we had last week. And I just take it has to be a damp cloth, and I just wipe it clean. Look at that. This is wet on one side, it's dry on the other side. I found that after wiping it off using a dry cloth also helps a little bit. And so there you have it. Oh, I need to make sure to do this. And I think that I read if you leave the ink on there for more than a month, it gets a little bit harder to erase off. So this really is not a long-term notebook. It uses these Pilot friction pins that are, I know that's not going to focus real well, that are erasable. And it's important to use these pins. I guess you can use other pins. They might erase as well, but they will damage the surface. You don't want to do that. Now, I have had a couple of issues, or noticed a couple of things. One, this is still a little damp. So, I found if I let it like sit and dry for a little bit, it works better. I've got a couple of notes here. If I write now, see, it will smear. But if you wait about 10 seconds or so, maybe 10 to 15, the ink affixes to the page and it will not erase. And so if you just give it a little bit of time like these, that doesn't erase. And now this, it doesn't erase either. And so in order to get rid of it, you got to get the wet side of the cloth, and there you go. It is all nice and clean once again. It's actually pretty cool. I'll say that. You do need to be careful. One of the things that I was doing was I would write a note and right away shut the notebook. Well, when I would open it back up, it would bleed over onto this side just a little bit. And so, I wanted to be careful of that. Let me think what else. I've got the pins. So far, I've been using it for about a month. It's working pretty well. It's really nice just throwing this in my bag or just carrying it into a meeting with me. I have a clip that I clip onto this. And this is just because I didn't want to spend any money for something to hold my pen. And so when I put that on there, it works pretty well on a pen holder. So the pen that came with it actually has a different kind of clip, and you can clip it onto here. My fear was at some point I know I was going to snap this off because I've done it before with other notebooks. This one has a cap. So the notebook was I think $35. I usually spend around 20 to 25 on these kind of notebooks, and so it wasn't that much more expensive. And I thought the ability to get everything digitized quickly, get it online, have Everlast, just send it to the destination. Oh, and I will show you in the app. There's a whole place where it has the icons, and then you can set where you want it to go. And so I've got some going to OneNote in my collection area, some going to my OneNote journal entries, going into my inbox of Evernote if I'm wanting to archive it. So there are a lot of options. I think it's a pretty cool idea. Now, whether it works for your workflow or not, I don't know. I like I said, I use GTD, and so at the end of every week, one of my tasks in Todoist, it's a repeating task for my weekly review, is to take pictures of all the pages that I've collected that week. And again, they will automatically go to the right place. And then I clean out the notebook. And then the second thing is I go to OneNote and I review all of the notes I've taken for that week. If there's some to-dos or some tasks I need to take care of, I put that in Todoist for the next week, and then put it in its long-term place where it belongs. So at some point I might go through my GTD setup, but this Everlast actually works pretty well into my GTD. My old notebook, I could have digitized it, I'm sure. It would have been a little bit more cumbersome. And, I would have had a couple more steps. And so anyway, I go back and forth because it is very, very satisfying when you finish up one of these, putting it on the your bookshelf and seeing them all lined up and knowing that at some point, if someone ever wanted to take a look at it, they could. Although some things in there you might not want people taking a look at, but it's all kind of, so much stuff that they're probably not going to find any bad stuff, I'm sure. You probably don't have any bad stuff in your notebooks, I'm sure of that. So anyway, there you go. That's my real world review of Todoist. I'm not of Todoist, of Everlast Notebook. And I hope you found it helpful. And again, I hope you're having a great day. God bless.